Hello, people. Hello, people in East London, city of South Africa, woke up in shock today over the death of 20 people in a nightclub. Officials reported that bodies found at the Enyibeni Tavern early Sunday were mainly 18 to 20-year-olds. Several others were injured. Police are investigating the incident and have yet to determine the cause of death. Meanwhile, the bodies have been taken to nearby mortuaries. There was speculation that a stampede took place that led to the deaths. An eyewitness told reporters that the bodies were lying inside the tavern as if they had collapsed on the floor. Relatives of the dead have yet been allowed to see the bodies. They are awaiting autopsy reports as teams of specialized police forces from Eastern Cape Province arrive at the scene for further investigation. The premier of the province, Oscar Mabuyane, told reporters, "We can't believe it. Young people who were not sick, young people who should be with their families enjoying their winter holidays, they just have lost their lives like that." Already there are calls by the locals to close the venue. In other news, at least 23 sub-Saharan African migrants died while trying to cross into the Spanish North African enclave of Melilla on Friday. This happened when a crowd of migrants cut the fence in an attempt to cross into the territory. Those kills were reported to have fallen off from the top of the fence. This attempted mass crossing is the first since Spain and Morocco resumed diplomatic relationships in March. While most people in the crowd were forced back by security personnel, over 100 people who got through were being processed at the reception center. In recent years, Spanish enclaves of Melilla and Ceuta have become a preferred path for sub-Saharan Africans trying to reach Europe. The alternative route of Libya and the Mediterranean Sea is equally deadly, as hundreds perish at sea each year. In Nigeria, leaders of opposition political parties are calling on the Inspector General of Police to arrest the 2023 presidential candidate of the ruling party, Mr. Bola Tinubu, for perjury. It came about when Mr. Tinubu's presidential election forms were made public by the Nigerian media. It showed that the former governor of Lagos State claimed in the forms that he did not attend primary and secondary schools. I am Chido Onumah. It's 4:30 p.m. in Abuja, Nigeria.
I'm Rudolph Okonkwo. It's 11:30 a.m. in New York.
It's 5:30 p.m. in South Africa.
It is 4:30 p.m. in Morocco. Wherever in the world you are joining us, welcome to another edition of 90 Minutes Africa. On our show today, we searched far and wide to find an independent journalist who will help us understand the phenomenon called PeterObi. We wanted someone to help us find the PeterObi that nobody knows. We found one that had visited PeterObi's only home in Onitsha and was with PeterObi in London after he visited 10 Downing Street, returned to Nigeria to dump the PDP and join the Labour Party. Take a look.
Enjoy the conversation.
You have already had your morning exercise this morning.
Start by 6, end by 7.
Wow.
6 a.m. dogs. I go to bed about 1, 2, 6. I'm exercising. I stop by 7. Within that period, I'm exercising. You know, I follow this church in America.
Yes.
St. Thomas Parish. Their mass starts by 6. And it ends up about 6:20. Then between 6:20 and this, I do my rosary, which is 15 minutes. Then do divine mercy, which is 10 minutes. And do prayer for impossible requests, which is 5 minutes.
Impossible requests.
Yeah, difficult requests. You know,
Okay.
if you live in Nigeria, you must pray for this country every day. You know?
Because it's an impossible request.
Yes. Difficult requests. It's difficult. Something that is difficult. So lasts about 10, the mass lasts for 20 minutes, the rosary is for 15 minutes, and then they say, hey, can't do small people for next week.
No, not for me.
Come on. No, I'm not so good. No, I'm not so good. Let's remember.
All right, that's a little bit from our guest, and we welcome to the show Maazi Ezeoke, the CEO of Njenje Media. Maazi Ezeoke, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rudolph, and thank you very much, Chido, for having me.
So
Pleasure.
we have been looking for who will help us understand PeterObi, and we think we found you. We don't know where you live. You are in Nigeria, you are in London, you're everywhere. But just assuming that you are in London and you could tell us the story from the newspapers for yesterday was about Peter Obi. Do you have any update that is not in the media or in public forum that you can share with us?
I don't. I have made effort to see if there is any backdoor channel that I could extract information from, but that has not been possible because obviously in this job you always try your hand on multiple things, trying to see if there is any way you can crack something. And as I speak to you now, I'm currently in London. So, and that's why I've made those efforts to see if there is any more information. There isn't much I can say to us now that is not in the public domain. That's, as obviously, as you know, there is this controversy surrounding what has actually happened and what led to that. There are various school of thoughts. There are rumors as to what has happened. But again, you and I know that the best ethics and practice of journalism means we are not going to dwell on the realm of speculations, but until facts come out, as you know, facts, they say it's sacred.
Okay, that's fair enough. But somebody reported that he's not in detention now. Can you confirm that he's in detention or not?
Well, I wouldn't expect him to be in detention because judgment has not been passed. Obviously, he will be in custody. That's different from being in detention. Okay. So, maybe like a normal house, but the only thing is that your access is restricted. So he wouldn't be able to go. But Rudolph, I promise you, if the contacts I'm making, I'm able to crack something and get to have more information, obviously, I would keep you posted.
All right, that's good enough. Also, just to clear things before we go to PeterObi, in the news today in Nigeria, it's all about Bola Tinubu, and his issue with primary school and secondary school certificates. So it's a good place to start. You know PeterObi more than most people. Does he have any issue with his certificates?
No. Yeah, I mean, PeterObi has classmates. CKC Onitsha, myself, our ladies Onitsha, in close proximity. And PeterObi has classmates in Nsukka, where he read philosophy, so it's, it's not, you can't compare it to one man who, as of 1999, attended primary and secondary school, but in 2023, no longer, there is no school that he attended to. So
no, he forgot. Maybe he forgot the school he attended. He
didn't, because that was an affidavit. But I think it's a way of genuinely covering up, previous lies. Because if that were to be now, if you recall that Bodyguard actually alluded to that before now, but many people are now arguing maybe in order for Chief Bodyguard not to really spill the bean and really have something more to speak on. That's why we are now being told that he did not attend any primary nor secondary school. But again, I think Nigerians mustn't, let's not hinge on this. You can still become president of Nigeria without attending primary and secondary school. I know people, thousands of them, many people watching might be in that place as well, who did not attend primary nor secondary school. But you go ahead and you take your GCSE, The moment you take your or GCE, as we call it, if you have your 6 credit, you can go ahead and do whatever you want. So you don't necessarily need to attend primary school. But, Nigeria is here. The only question here is that he submitted something before. Now, that which was submitted is now withdrawn. Nigeria for you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, Chido, go ahead.
Yeah. So the question then is, it's clear when you say there are people who didn't attend secondary school, but who eventually went to university, because you can sit at home and write your GCE and write your A levels. And once you make your paper, is there a crime here? So if somebody submits a form, what do we know? And as said, you are just required to submit one particular form if you meet the minimum threshold of, say, if it's a primary school or secondary school or university, and you submit, because you submit a university degree, for example. I'm just trying to understand if there is a crime here, or if he's run afoul of the electoral law. What do we know in that regard?
I'm not a legal practitioner, but I'm also not a novice to the law. What I think is here the issue, when it comes to the 2022 submission, on its own, if you look at it, considering that, assuming that nothing was ever submitted before, no crime has been committed. But when you go back to the fact that something was submitted before, now that thing has been removed, one could argue that, he lied, or that he is lying, because some have argued, some legal minds have argued that is, that he has, that a crime is on the table for, before telling the world that you went to this AYBC primary secondary school, and now that these things are not there. But the tragedy, the bigger tragedy.
But the form we've seen, and I don't know if you've seen, sorry to cut you, the man is not saying I didn't. He just left the place blank.
Well,
so that it's not saying categorically that I didn't attend primary school or I didn't attend secondary school. It just left it blank. But normally maybe in the West you put not applicable or something like that.
Well, for leaving it blank, that means the man has some legal minds who have advised him on the technicalities of this. Leave it blank. When you leave it blank, leave it for us. We will argue it out. Now, the tragedy here, as I wanted to say before, is that here we have, it appears something is not adding up. Because if you go to that affidavit, he said that while he was in exile between the year 1994, 92 to 96 or 98, thereabout, that his house was invaded by unknown soldiers, and the soldiers took away the certificates, right? Does that sound similar to what Buhari said? That his certificate is with the military. So somehow, when it gets to proving that there is something you own, we are blaming unknown soldiers from 1976 that killed Fela's mom, unknown soldiers that shot the young Nigerians in Lekki, unknown soldiers. Come on. Maybe at some point we may have an unknown president, and maybe we already have an unknown president, because these things are really, in the Committee of Nations, it makes us look not real nice. I'll put it that way, gently.
Now let's think about it this other way. If he has been running for president for a long time, before he came out and declared, and and he knew this would come up, and he didn't make any effort all this while to find the certificate, maybe a copy from wherever he submitted. What do you think is going on? Do you think that Nigerians are being played for fools? What do you think?
Well, the answer is very simple. They don't take us serious. That's it. Because to be honest with you, let's get serious, guys. If Tinubu had primary, secondary school certificate today, to be honest with you, I do not have my first school leaving certificate, but I know the school that I attended, right? I could go back to that school. I could tell them this is, I have classmates. So I could tell them this is, this is the year I left school. This is the year. So let them get back. I mean, at some point we saw, even to the point that Buhari, even when it was a case of Mahamadu and Mahamad, and Muhammad. So, but he retraced back, even when it was handwritten. But at least you can see there was a school. Now, if you are being taken serious enough, one would have expected that at this point, you should have gone back to the school. But if you are not doing that, because he's now a person of interest, by not doing that, I would tend to agree with what Chief Bode George said, that he did not attend to any of those. But again, let's not get bogged down to, if he has A level or O level, maybe at that point, because let me tell you, you must not actually attend primary school. That is the thing. If you had started with GCSE, that's it. You cannot force him to go and produce what is not there.
Okay, you mentioned Bode George several times. Let's watch a video of Bode George.
I can bet you any amount of money. Let Bola bring out the certificate of his primary school, his secondary school, and the university he attended. We want to see them. Because I remember in 1998 or 1999, when we had the elections, Afiku Yomi was the one, when they raised and pulled his papers that he filled to INEC, they now asked him to produce all those papers. He said he went to Government College Ibadan and the children home school in Ibadan. We went there, we checked. What year? Where's your certificate? Nothing. When they were going to hoist him, he quickly said that it wasn't him that signed it, it was Afiku Yomi that filled it. Look on your certificate. If you have genuine certificate, you went to a particular school, you must have friends who, because you won't be the only one in that college. Let's see them. I am shocked that Ogunlewe will be saying this in public. He knows for real that this fellow doesn't have all these certificates, and I'm not hiding it. Let him bring them out.
All right. That's Bode George talking about Bola Tinubu. Let's go beyond Tinubu. Let's go to why we have you here, which is PeterObi. Who is PeterObi? For those who do not know, who is PeterObi?
For many Nigerians who do not know PeterObi, PeterObi is a citizen of Anambra State and was the former governor of Anambra State. And he is a man of destiny, a man who came and, if you ask him, he said, in one of his interviews, he said that he was brought into politics by Professor ABC Nwosu, whom, when the Anambra intellectuals came together to say we needed someone to go beyond what the former governor of Anambra State then, Mbadunju, was doing. And they brought him to basically come under the party of PAPCA. And, he came in and he became the governor. So I can tell you that, he was a former governor. He sat in board of a couple of banks, which many of you do know, also including but not limiting to Fidelity Bank. Now, before he joined that, managing or rather banks in Nigeria, he was also a businessman. I use that word carefully in adherence to what he says. He always wants people to say he is a trader. Well, trader buying and selling. Well, he was an international businessman that had interest in some of the well-known brands that people use in their houses, and he was importing these from Europe, especially United Kingdom, into Nigeria until he became then a politician. But again, to summarize, he's, for those who have known him, who haven't met him, is a man that I say his humility is infectious. I have never seen a man that when you come across when you come across to him and you come close to him, that you don't want to see him again.
Very good.
Okay.
Chido.
Yeah. Okay. So we know who Peter Obi is. I think the logical question, and that would be going political, would be, what does Peter Obi believe in? Peter Obi was in ABGA, he was in PDP, and today he's in Labour Party. Is there a sense that candidate Peter Obi is just forum shopping for a platform to be president of Nigeria? Who is Peter Obi in that regard? What ideologically, politically, what does he believe in?
Now, ideologically, without, I'm not his spokesperson, I'm not speaking for him, but from the man I have met, the man I have come to know is, a humanist. One. Now, if you, there are things I refer to political jumpologists, or men I refer to political jumpologists, people who jump from one party to other for just the experience of it. But here, yes, he has moved parties, but the question that always I want us to look at, not just to look at it from the periphery, is what is the reason why those movements occur? If you bear in mind, in 2002, he actually was in the PDP, he attended PDP meetings. But I think, according to him, he said that in one of the meetings he wanted to talk and they shut him down. They said, well, if this is democracy and I can't make my contribution and those money bags are shutting me down, then he walked away. Now, it means that this man is a lone ranger when it comes to the principles that are in a variance and are not too common to Africans and not to Nigerians. He moved into APGA. He moved, eventually he won the election, and the way he ran the election, won the election, the only governor in Nigeria that had won election without any single seat in the House, not in the Senate, not in the State House of Assembly. Eventually, that was taken away by rigging with the Chris Oba and Chris Ndiga. What happened? He went to court. That again defines his lifestyle. People would cause trouble, do this, oh, you win election, back post. No. He went to court, believing in legal means. It took him 3 years. In 2006, he was brought back through legal means. In the video you played here, in my conversation, in private conversation with him, I asked him, how did he fight this? He said that even the judges that delivered the judgment, he never met them. That one of the judges, that he only met them about 3 years after at the airport, is to show you that a man whom at that point everyone was saying, Oga, forget, stay in London, just leave this electoral thing. Everybody deserted him, but he stuck his ground, knowing because he had a point. Aren't we seeing a trajectory here? Yes, eventually he moved into PDP. While he moved into PDP, let's not play ignorance here. We know the problem he had with the former APGA chairman, Victor Ume. At a point, because he didn't want that so much conflict, he left PDP, because then under Jonathan, PDP offered him that platform to come. He walked away. And one thing that is very spectacular here, if I may use that word, is he was given and he was wooed to come to PDP before the election. But as a man of principle, believing in that APGA ideology, he left APGA after he had won and secured that state for APGA. He left alone. He didn't leave with what Nigerians call, he left with structures. No, he left with no structures. He left as him. Now come to 2023, 2022. There was a trajectory building up. People are talking about, oh, how much you're going to pay. Oh, how much you're going to pay for this. $35,000 cash, $30,000 cash, this, yet. And there was this also argument of, can we zone this to the south and by extension to the southeast? Yes, I understand we had these conversations. Myself, I have no apologies to this. I believe to tomorrow that if equity and fairness is anything to go by in Nigeria, that the 2023 president as was said by Dr. Ogbonnaya when he contested the APC ticket. He said it to the public that in 1999, he stepped down so that a Yoruba candidate could take his place, and to ensure that Olusegun Obasanjo and Chief Falaye were those in the ballot. So if you go through this trajectory, it means that he has been consistent. He has been very, very consistent in that which he believes in, which is equity and fairness.
So the question then is his emergence in Labour Party. Is it something that was thought through? I mean, we understand what Labour Party stands for. Was it just a platform of least resistance in terms of his finding a place, a home politically? There are those, and I say this with all sense of responsibility. I understand the Labour Party. I have studied it and worked with people within that platform. There are those who are up against his presence in the party because they think he comes from a tradition different from what the Labour Party stands for. So the question that would naturally flow would be, how does he reconcile that, his background, what he stands for, where he's coming from, and by that I mean PDP, and his emergence in Labour, and how do you then deal with the different faction, and not just political faction, but ideological faction within the Labour Party?
Well, I wouldn't dive and dwell into the ideological faction within the Labour Party, but I want to stay on the high level here. What is the essence of Labour? The Labour Party is that party that people believe that, speaks to the minds of the downtrodden, the working class, and all the rest. Now, a man who has built his wealth from ground up, hence the reason why people call him stingy, because he does not want to, none of us here, because we all work hard to earn every single naira, dollar, pounds, euro that we all earn. We all work hard, therefore we do not just splash that again. So if we come back to that as the reason why he joined the Labour Party, let's not make this mistake. Labour Party was not the only platform available at the point of that decision. SDP was in play. But the question is, where do you find that philosophical underpinning that aligns with your belief for equitable society? And in his decision, not mine, in his decision, he thinks that Labour Party aligns with his philosophy. He's a man who studied philosophy. He understands, human psychology as well, thinking, okay, this is a place that I can come in and build that with the grassroots in order to reach out to the people and say, people, if we need to have a new Nigeria with this new philosophy of really working for ourselves as a people, then let's do it in Labour Party.
Okay, let's go to PeterObi. Why is the fascination with him, at least from what we see from young Nigerians? What do you think is going on?
I think what is going on, if I'm being honest and fair here, is that the Nigerian youth, if we tell ourselves the truth, we're all tired. PeterObi has distinguished himself over the years. It didn't start now. Recall that about 3 or 4 years ago, before the lockdown, there was a program at the Orile Igomu, the podium, or the platform, I think, the platform, where he spoke. And if you see videos where people began to see a man who speaks from his heart, not and the way he goes when he travels, he takes his luggage, he does this, he does the other one. So people suddenly begin to say, we are tired of all these politicians that overrun our mothers, our fathers, with their convoys and all these. And he says, I believe that the youth are beginning to have that connection of saying, actually, if we look at all those asking for our vote, here is a man we think is different. He's not a saint, but here is a man that we think is different. It's just like what the phenomenon you alluded to. is what I could describe to in America in 2008 when the Obama phenomenon took over. Because Obama came, he was different. He spoke differently. He connected to the people of America, you know. So everything was different. So I think this is the same thing Nigeria is experiencing now. And that is being driven by the youth. I leave us with this. A friend of mine told me, say, Maazi, if PeterObi was this good, why doesn't he have political friends in Anambra State? I said, well, you can't serve two gods. Because here, those that want the status quo to remain so that we keep, you know, every month I stay in my house, somebody wires in 200 million in my account because I'm a godfather somewhere, it's stopping. Therefore, if he has taken the food away from them, they're not going to be happy. They're not going to support him. That's why you see that the movement is coming from the people, from the downtrodden. You can imagine where people, I can tell you yesterday on a Twitter space, people are saying, share flyers. You know, no more flyer, you share flyer on a Twitter, on WhatsApp. People will go and use it and print t-shirt and wear. These are things before now, politicians will print it and give to people. But now people are saying, no, don't print. We print and we wear ourselves. Because why? They believe that with this man, they would eventually have a new Nigeria. So that is where the phenomenon is coming from the people, from the youth.
Okay, we are going to watch a little bit of your interview with him. After that, we'll come back and talk about the controversies, because there are new controversies that are coming up.
Then you come around, you see other people celebrating as if, especially with public money, as if they're in Hollywood.
Yet the person in question, before he got into the public office, was almost a pauper.
Thank you. Could not even afford those things. Is that enjoying? And what even annoys me more is when you question, you said, I used to enjoy those things.
How?
You know, no. Even if you used to enjoy it, you're not a public figure. You shouldn't do it any longer. Because you're not showing a good example of what should be. Even if you used to do it in your private life, you're not a public person. I tell people, for example, a British Airways Gold for Life member. For life, you need to do about 20 years of flying in business class once every month for you to be a British Airways Gold for Life.
Okay.
But since I went into public office, if you see me in first class, I'm upgraded by British Airways, if ever, which rarely happens.
All right. So you were at his house in Onitsha, and you interviewed him for over 5 hours, both in the house and some other places. What did you take away from that interview?
Now, you know.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know, I used to walk close to that house. I never entered that house. I drive around. I know this is his house. So on this said date, I had an appointment to see him. This conversation was not meant to be recorded, but at some point, there is a way you get speaking to somebody, and I'm like, but hold on, this conversation we are having now, how would people, if I start writing about them, how would people think? Isn't it better, rather than to write, can I seek his permission to record this? Because I went alone, I went with no cameraman. So, and I said, okay, hold on. These things you're saying to me now, can I put them in video? He said, why not? It's a conversation. We can have it any day. That was his reaction. And there I am. I brought out these, equipment and started recording some of these conversations. I mean, it's unscripted. It's anything. I was just like, it was just a conversation because he was getting ready. If you see, he was wrapping his food. He was getting ready to go to Nanka that same day. There is a second version of that video that's actually coming out. And the fascination here is, there is a man He was a former VP, a former VP to a presidential candidate, and a former governor with the avalanche of security. But he said, "Okay, can we?" He asked me, "Can you escort me to Nanka?" I said, "Well, actually, that was the day I was going to Onitsha to record, set agenda for Sorudo to visit Okpoko." I said, "Well, I have a couple of hours to spare before I head back to Onitsha, but on the condition that I must come back here, pick my car, and go to Okpoko." He said, No. You're driving with your car. I will join you." Now, here is me coming to see him. Rather than go, he now said, "Can you escort me to Nanka?" Rather than me leaving his car in Onitsha GRA, he left his car and joined me. Now he joined me. We went to Nanka. So my take here is, the level of simplicity. Sometimes, if you haven't come close, you think it's something that is made up. But there is something. It's just like when you wake up. Oh, you may yawn. It's impulsive. It cannot be hidden. It cannot be faked. It's there. Rudolph, you're muted.
Yeah. Maazi, hold on. Are you saying that he didn't have security people around in the house?
No, there are mopos. Obviously, you now when you come to Nigeria, you have.
No, I don't have anything.
Even if it's a village,
we'll force someone new.
I don't.
Because we won't allow the U.S. government to say their citizen have been kidnapped in Nigeria. So we'll force someone.
I move around.
He has. Let's not get a wrong impression. He has security.
Okay.
Obviously, when you come in there, you see some mopos. I think a couple of them and the DSS in the house. But what I'm saying is, for the fact that on going to this place, he allowed the what's it called, the guy with Hilux van to go, and he was in my own car. I was driving, and we were talking. To be honest with you, I haven't said this probably before. For the first time, I got scared. You know why?
Why?
We got to Abatete. There was traffic, and suddenly people looked at the car. He was, I'm here. He sat here. He had his nose mask, and suddenly people looked at and said, "Okute, Okute, Okute." I nearly peed in my trouser because I said, if all these ungun man come now, they normally first kill the driver. So I would have.
Interesting. So he made coffee for you. He said it in one of the interviews that he made coffee for himself, and he had a big house.
He was already getting ready. When I walked in, he had his only white singlet. It's only when I said, "Okay, can I record this?" that he now went inside. And if you watch the video, you will see at some point he was doing this. That was when I started recording, and I caught him when he was still, closing the last button. So he was, he was already making coffee, and he asked me if I wanted coffee. I said, "Well, I mean, I did drink coffee with milk, but eventually he had no milk, so I drank black coffee with honey."
Okay. Chido, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt, even without telling people that he's a very simple, the way he carries himself publicly and privately. I think the challenge, and maybe that has endeared him to a lot of Nigerians who are used to people, politicians in flowing agbada and long convoys and all of that. But let's zero in on the politics, which is really what it's all about in terms of the prospects of an Obi presidency. And there are a lot of things we can talk about when we look at that. What do you think? What are your preliminary observations or thoughts about how his emergence and his entry into this race and his candidacy? What are your general expectations? Can we look at that? Then we can ask specific questions.
Well, I think, obviously, there are two planks here. You know, let's be upfront here. There are two planks here. Many people, including myself, believe that 2023 should have an Igbo person in the ballot. Why? Because sacrifices have been made in 1999 and 2003.
But there are other Igbo people on the ballot, if I'm not mistaken.
Please, can we Igbo people of note, do you remember any by heart?
Abga has an Igbo candidate in Umeadi.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, Abga, but if we Umadi, I do not personally, without sounding condescending, I do not know his antecedents, but you know, because why do people keep hearing about Atiku Abubakar? It's just because of what he has done before. Why do people keep hearing about Bola Ahmed Tinubu? It's just because he has been at least a certain level. Atiku was a governor before he was picked. Tinubu was a governor. Now here is also another governor, in quote unquote, two-term governor. Therefore, if we stay on that trajectory, I felt, because for me, I felt that this race, personally, maybe I'm being politically naive, I felt that this race should have been between either Obonneonu, Dave Umahi, or I don't know, in the APC, and in PDP, either him and maybe, you know, that we would have used that opportunity to ensure that someone from the Southeast, all the parties would have given that to, you know, that to happen. So his emergence now is...
Sorry, man. Let me cut you here. Are you then saying, is there a sense, and I don't want to put you on the spot, that he is the Igbo candidate, or we should see him as the Igbo candidate? Because people like Ekweremadu have also come out to state a different position in terms of whether we should have him as the Igbo candidate or not.
No, he is a competent Nigerian candidate. Now, but what I'm saying is, before the primaries, there were positions, there were arguments. You see, this argument was driven if you listen to Pa Edwin Clark, you can see what he said, what he says. If you listen to Fapa Hunda, you see what he said. If you listen to Paaya Debanjo, you hear what he says. If you listen to my good sister Ankyo Briggs from the Niger Delta, you hear what they say. So now, at some point, at that level, was what was in the mix. The argument then is, if without sounding that we will drive this argument as an Igbo candidate, question is, who amongst these people now has caught the imagination of Nigerians that were not and never were interested in politics? It appears he has. Again, argument is neither here nor there, but you know, many people want to ascribe the voter registration upsurge to him, but one could also say, well, it's because it's ending. It's neither here nor there. But one thing is that he is in the ballot. He is now getting a lot of people, especially the young Nigerians, excited in doing a lot that they do for now.
Okay, so let's look at, there are some controversial issues about PeterObi that are coming up now. I'll play a video and then we take it from there.
Said now was made possible because the former governor, from what he said he left over 75 billion naira in the account.
Well,
so
you know, there had been a dispute about the economy, because at the end of the day, it was 9 billion that PeterObi left. It's not true.
Not 9 billion. Over 75 billion?
That was falsehood. 9 billion, and I would like you to invite officials of the present government and invite Peter to tell us how this 9 billion was left. Because the claim, and I saw him claiming that PeterObi has no property anywhere in the country. This is the greatest fallacy of the 21st century. Peter owns a company called Next International. He's probably the biggest property owner in this country. And on top of the big shopping mall in Abuja. His younger brother controls everything he did.
Is there anyone in Anambra?
Oh yes, there's ShopRite he has at Onisha. Everything about ShopRite is PeterObi. He annexed a land in my town in Newu.
All right. That's just a little bit of people who are raising issues about some of the statements PeterObi has been making in several speeches. Did you what do you know about? Does he have only one house in Onitsha? Is that the only house he has in Nigeria?
To the best of my knowledge, and he has said it, that the only house he owns in Nigeria is in Onitsha. You remember when there was I think a couple of years back, about 4 or 5 years, we had this discovery of some dollars, you know, in I can't remember what that flat is called.
Yes.
He has a flat there.
Yeah.
And that flat, according to him, that flat is rented. I recall that he made public then that if you see any other house outside my house in Onitsha, because if in the video you played before, I asked him that same question. He actually told me the story of how he bought that house from the late Ubabi Asika's wife, right? So that's how he got it. So now I do not have documentation to say, oh, he has 20 houses. Again, if anybody, when someone challenges you, say, this is my house, you know, maybe, you know, not counting our, you know, as in Igbo, we have our ancestral houses. When a man is of age, he builds a house in his ancestral home. Now, and most times you want to visit him, not even in Akure, you go to Onitsha to see him. Therefore, if he says he has only one house, what's my own? He has one house. That's, you understand? That's what I believe. Then if it's internationally, if it were to be, oh, he has only one house in Globe, I say not lie, because I'm aware he has also a house in London. But these are houses like you, Rudolph, now. Tomorrow you become a governor, you live in the US, therefore the house you have in New York is no longer a house. I mean, it's your house, it's your property. These are, in my view, investments. The moment you finish paying your mortgage, you can do with your house however you want. Now, let me take one point that my good brother and elder, Chief Olase, said there, that he did not leave any money. You see, when Peter handed over, there was this friction between him and his predecessor, you know, his support. Now, they dished out, this is sometimes where politics, some of us cannot be politicians. They dished out some information that weren't correct. And on this information is where my elder Olase anchored his comment. And that comment is false. I have here the handover note of PeterObi. Here it says, local government investment as of March 14th, 0314 is 227 billion. Foreign currency investment, that is $156 million, is 26 million. Certified state and MDA balance is 28 billion. FGN approved refund is 10 billion, total 91 billion. Now, if someone handed over this and he's telling to the whole world, Access Bank has come out, this amount, 50-something million dollars invested, Anambra State money invested in Access Bank, invested in Fidelity Bank, invested in Diamond Bank. Anambra, okay, there was some investment in SAB Miller, now InBev. These investments are there. Recently, there was some fake news saying, oh, these investments have grown and ballooned into 100 billion. That's not correct, because these were Naira investment, about 12 billion Naira. If this 12 billion Naira was invested, Naira investment, and someone, as of that point, Naira was 155. Today, Naira is about 614. It will be silly for someone to convert it back again to dollars, say, oh, our money has lost value. Why won't it lose value? InBev has posted for the last 3 years constantly negative. Which company in Nigeria, except the bank that flexes you and I for everything we do, is making any money? It is the mismanagement of the federal government mismanaging the economy that inadvertently affects whatever has been this investment. Now, the PeterObi Support Network then, as a reaction to this, issued a statement to the government of Professor Chukwuma saying, since you have told Nigerians that this investment is now worth billion. Can you also tell Nigerians that, can you also tell Nigerians the value of the dollar investment? Because the dollar investment is where I'm actually interested. You know why? As of that time, that was 155. Now, and this money has compound interest accumulation has accumulated. It is also on record, and I have the documentation here. The withdrawals by Anambra State government under Obiano. If that be the case, that Anambra State government has been taking money from the investment, isn't that silly for someone to now say there was no money left? Which money were you taking? How did Anambra State build the Anambra International Airport? They got the money from the money that was saved. So, you know, respectfully, my elder chief Olase, I would say, you know, we don't want to engage in that, but the information is not entirely correct.
Okay, Chido, you will come in, but I just want to announce that in 10 minutes, we are going to let our audience to join us. And if they have questions for you, they might have better questions than I can. Chido, next.
All right, thank you. I think we should go to the substantive issue, which is the politics of all of it. What are Peter Obi's chances in next year's presidential election? What are the immediate challenges? What are the obstacles he needs to overcome to be able to emerge beyond the mass registration, beyond the youth following, beyond the Obi mania that we're seeing? You referenced Obama. I'd like to say that Nigeria is not the United States, and I've had this conversation with my co-host. But yeah, can we focus on all of these? What are the ingredients that he's bringing to the table that will help us get this soup done in 2023?
Now, you and I know this, that governance is about giving people hope. When people feel that they are hopeless, they could do whatever that is in the negative. But when someone wakes up in the morning, he hasn't made money, but he's very hopeful. Why is someone in Igbo, we say somebody in our boss ahead, he has no shop, he has nothing, he has no wares, he sells absolute nothing. But he wakes up, he has his shower, brushes his mouth, puts on his perfume, sandals, go to shop. To do what? It's only good doing that because he's hoping that something is going to happen in the shop, that he's going to make some money, and eventually does. So what PeterObi is bringing to the table come 2023 is to rekindle that hope, that of hopelessness where we find ourselves, where those that govern you can no longer, you tell me now today, who, you know, those that govern you, could you in honesty listen to them for 10 minutes, 20 minutes without basically often, you know, shutting down your TV and yanking your remote somewhere in anger? No, but today, at least anytime people see him speak, they are glued to the television because he's giving them hope. It's only hope that can make people now to go and create value for themselves. Now, what are the impediments? The impediment here that he will have is the status quo. The status quo that does not want him to succeed. The status quo that would always want, you know, things to go the old way. Are there chances? Oh, the chances are bright and more, it's getting more brighter every day. Because, for instance, let's take Edo State, for instance. I've asked people, what is happening in Edo that other states don't know? This is a people that have overtaken his own campaign, all the structure, when people are donating their houses. I had someone who called me from Adamawa, said he wants to join the Obi campaign. I said, but the campaign hasn't started. He said, no, I want to return the hillocks they gave me, and I want to join the Obi campaign. How can I do it? I said, I'm not part of the campaign. I don't know. If the other people gave you hillocks here, very unlikely that they will give you anything. He said, no, it doesn't. You want to do the right thing for the first time. You know, so when people talk like that, when people react like that, I am aware, and we're also aware, that it is not enough for people to shout PVC, PVC, then after PVC, and so what? So the work for him is how will he sustain the momentum? How would he move from a point of that people register to the point and guide the people to the point that they will come out, because that is the task. That day people won't sit back and say they want to eat offense or that they want to play football, but that they were coming out to vote. How is he going to do that?
Okay.
That's the greatest challenge that I see. But if that is done, we'll see a new thing happening in Nigeria come 2023.
Okay.
Before you come in, Rudolph, quickly, let me just ask this question. In addressing this challenge, a lot of people, and this is not my position, but as a host of this show, I get feedback from people. People ask questions like, they've discussed the issue of structure, and Obi has tried to address that. But beyond that, so the dissolution, people may not be happy with the status quo. And part of the reason why they are gravitating towards Obi, it's perhaps people want something new, something fresh, and so on. But people are also telling themselves that, let's be realistic. How does Obi deal with this? The Labour has no governorship structure across the country, no House of Rep, no Senate, and so on. So even if Obi wins the presidency, how is he going to govern? And I'm sure you hear stories like this. So that in itself is a way also trying to limit people's interest and say, why do you waste your votes, for want of a better word? How do you address some of these concerns?
There was this woman that said, with 2023, they are going to waste their vote. But before I address that and dive into that deeper, I will tell us this. This same argument was propelled in Anambra when he was fighting. You see, all the House of Assembly, senators, everything, PDP, there was nothing left for you. One Apka, my brother, then Umoji, I think. There was nothing. He has always been in a place, in an awkward place where people say this is not possible, but whatever, I say people, whatever follows him must be too, it must be too jazzy, because things that look impossible. How come that when in 2006, there was nothing, yet he was not impeached? He was not impeached because, or rather, he was impeached not because he won the governorship and he's not doing well. No, he was impeached because they said to rebuild Anambra State's government house that was burnt under Ngigan Chris Ubatozo, that was going to be a 400 and something million. And he did it with less than 40 million, about 10, 11%. And the State Assembly got angry and they removed him. You can see that whatever he's now telling you now, even when you hear like Mbaka crying that he doesn't give money, it didn't start today. It has cost him his job. He has, it's something that is inherent in him. So when people say lack of structure, I say maybe people don't get it. Yes, he's not going to have so many governors, but that he's not going to have a single governor is not, is not right, because as I can tell you now, I am aware a lot of people have moved to Labour Party at the state level, Labour Party at the local government level, and Labour Party at the ward level. What it then means is, go and check Nigerian Constitution. Ground to remove a president on gross misconduct, not on because he does not have anybody. On gross misconduct. If he is able to survive a state assembly, even without a governor, he will survive the presidency without any governors too. But again, recall that after 4 years of not having any governor, not having any House of Assemblymen, the next election cycle, he wiped everybody because everybody became obedient and everybody became a convert, and we now come into this structure. Now to the structure, the real structure we talk about, I alluded to the fact what is happening in Edo, and I must, because what is happening in Edo, till now, I cannot still place my finger where it's coming from. The type of mobilization the people are doing on their own. Labour Party say, oh, we don't have office here. Someone will say, come, this is my flat, take it, free of charge. Oh, this house is, it needs to be painted. Someone will go to a shop, bring 10 gallons of paint, donate it, use it, paint it. Someone will pay those that will paint it. and okay, we don't have ceiling fan. Someone, I mean, it has never happened. Therefore, we must encourage Nigerians to run wild with their imagination. Let that imagination be that they, for once, that they fought, like what you said, that America is not Nigeria. Of course, we know that. America is USA, Nigeria is Nigeria. But for once, let the Nigerian youth drive the narrative.
Okay.
Remember, sorry.
All right, sorry. We have our studio full of people who want to talk to you. Before we let them in, let me just play this video of PeterObi comparing himself with Alex Ekwueme, and then I'll get your take, and then we'll let them in.
Well, I can tell. Is there anything that you sort of fashion your work around? Well, I can tell you, one thing I know is that, like me, people were not happy with him. Because he insists on doing the right things. You cannot meet him. One is a man of very high, I think, like I said, you can't come. I don't see people who are as intellectual as he is. He knows everything, and he listens. So like I said, it's not somebody who convinces you. You must come with a superior reasoning. And so they're not happy. People like here, of course, it's not like me, it's not his share money. And so don't say, when you say I'm stingy, maybe these are things that we have similarities with. I don't see him sharing money to anybody. He only spends money for need. So he's educated so many people because he saw the reason. I was growing up and hearing scholarship from Ekwueme. So he was paying people school fees, educating them, sending them abroad to read. Not to, and I grew up and I went to his house. He didn't have a big house. He didn't have big cars. He didn't have, so I was wondering, why is this man treating himself like this? So with time, I found myself doing the same thing. And I said, oh, maybe it's not somebody you see. So the similarities is that he was a man who believed in tomorrow.
All right. Ekwueme and PeterObi, do you see any similarities?
I do, because both are, they are both men that, one is late, that I say I do know fairly well. Ekwueme is a man who, also simple. Most times you see him, if you read the book of Ochenda Michi, in a book called I Am, he wrote how he met Ekwueme, even, when he's been hearing about him, but when he met him, he couldn't believe that this is the man he met. In PeterObi as well, on many occasions, there was a time someone, an Anglican priest that lived in the United Kingdom, he wanted to have, I think it's what they do, I don't know, something like a transfer, but he needed a recommendation from Peter as the governor then. I said to him, okay, fine. I wrote a note, say, okay, this was happening around 2009. Lo and behold, this guy called me the next day. Said, Maazi, do you know what happened? I said, no. He said, luckily for me, he was heading to Enugu with Tariq. And can I guess who sat beside him? He said he was the governor. I said, I didn't need to give him the note. When I told him my story, he said, okay. He minuted on the paper, said, go to one of the essays then, the next day, that paper he needed will be given to him. Access to. And that's what Ekwueme does. Ekwueme is not a man of flamboyance. PeterObi, when people say he can afford private jet, but to him, he thinks, maybe why would he run private jets while people are hungry? And that brings us to this. I tell people, how did I come to know this man called Governor PeterObi? Very simple. Because of my love for education. In 2007, I'll take it back a little bit. In 2004, then I used to live in Germany. I came back. I was jogging. The community secondary school isn't Ifite in Aguata. Anybody watching here is a live witness. Go to my Twitter handle, is there. I looked at the school built by my parents, by their sweat, from the community in 1976. The school looked as if somebody threw in a bomb in there. The roof, where everything yanked down. I wrote a petition to the governor of Anambra State then, Dr. Chris Indiga. I wrote a petition to the Aguata local government then. What did they do? They came with cameras. Eventually, nothing happened. But I promised that I would have to have that school fixed. In 2007, I fixed that school, rebuilt 7 classroom block there. And when a good friend of mine, Comrade Emeko Mabarase, was having his traditional marriage, I attended the traditional marriage with 2 of my German friends there, and the governor walked in. Maybe they told him who those Germans were, maybe lighter color people got his attention. But in that getting his attention, they said that this guy that came with him, they are building school in his state, and his ears, alarm went off. Because the moment he had schools, someone is building a school that is not private business, a school that I'm not building it, for, he just said, I'm building it for children I don't even know. That's how he got interested. And there and then he offered, oh, please, when are you going to finish it? If you finish it, I want to come and commission. The video is on YouTube. You can just look at it. The video is still there. And since that time, that he commissioned this school December 26th, 2007. And since that time, that's how one can say that the friendship started. And it's on that premise of education, how do you help? And you can see from 2007 till now, it hasn't changed. He's the only one that goes to school where he doesn't know people and donates item school. I do in my own little ways. I know schools in Enugu that I don't even know them. I've never visited. I have channels that I give them computers. But because I know that the children, the lives we're able to capture today and mold them right could be our savior tomorrow. But those that we neglect today will be those that will make life unbearable for you, for myself, for you, for your children, for my children. Therefore, we need to change the trajectory that we take these things. And I think Ekweme, in his conclusion, this is where I think both of them seem alike.
All right, let's bring in our audience members who are joining us, and they want to probably ask you questions and comments. So I'll let them in. I know they are.
They don't kill me with questions.
No, they won't kill you. They are nice people. So let me start with Alaro. I know you are a PeterObi supporter. Do you have a question or a comment? We are going to take 3 people, and then he will answer, and then we'll come back to the other 3. Go ahead.
Thank you for the privilege, and thank you, my dear brother. It's good to hear somebody that's close to him that can enlighten people as to his humbleness. And for people to realize somebody on PeterObi's level does not leave a party like PDP recklessly. This is done with consultation. And PDP, when they say structures, we in PDP are still going to leave massively before election to go to the Labour Party. Everything is waiting because we know the internal politics that caused him to leave. Atiku taking the ticket every time was not the plan in PDP. Therefore, being said, also, like I always said, what my brother also already said, people donating houses, people donating paint. You have to donate whatever you have. Alone saying your vote is not enough for this man to go forward. Donate your time, donate your energy. If you don't have those, donate the little amount that you can afford conveniently. Thank you very much.
All right. I just wanted to say that we have 30 seconds for everybody, so don't go beyond that, please. Questions or comments? Let me, Ovie, you're next.
Yes. Thank you, Maazi. My first question, I have 2 questions. I'll make it in 10 seconds. The first question Chido asked you is about how the kind of person Peter Obi is. You used the phrase there that I said he's a lone ranger. I have no problem with a lone ranger. What you said that remind me of Obama. Obama was a lone ranger, but he had people to work for him. One, which is his vice presidency. Biden was regarded as the father of DC at that time, and he has the big political party to head him to become the president. So my question is, what is the roadmap? What is the mathematical roadmap for him to that presidency? And two, you said you also refer to his level of simplicity. That reminds me of our last two presidents, Goodluck Jonathan, who come from a humble background without a shoe. We voted for him. Our current president, Muhammadu Buhari, has only 300 cows, humble, and we voted for him. But all these two people did not work for us. What now do you believe that Nigerians that we know will also take that route again this second third time?
Okay, thank you, Obi. Neka, you're next.
First of all, I will start by thanking Maazi, because from all the things that you have said about PeterObi, you answered very critical questions that I have, and I do agree with everything that you said. You made it very clear for people to really understand who he is. And I don't think I really have a question per se, but what I just wanted to add to what Maazi said is that we need to stop going backwards. And we have to stop trying to say to ourselves as human beings that something will never, never happen. Something has to change. And because that something has to change, we need to give him a real fair trial. And in terms of, like I said, he really, really explained things for me, of which what you said about Tinubu with his papers, you are absolutely correct. If I went to school and probably I did not have my certificate anymore or my transcript, but at least I remember the name of the school, I can always go back to that school and say that this is the school that I attended. At least, even if I'm somebody who lives in an isolation, I should have one friend or one teacher that I know in that school. So basically, you've answered all the questions. Every time I come on this platform, what I continue to encourage my fellow Nigerians is that we must stop trying to look backwards. I could see a humanistic principle in Peter Obi, and I believe that that humanistic principle that he has is what is going to lead him into being the president of Nigeria, because we really need that change.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neka. Let's take one more because some of them didn't have a question for you. Mohammed, welcome to the show. Mohammed, welcome. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, good. Go ahead. What's your question or comment?
Okay, thank you very much. Over time, I've been listening to these presidential aspirants, and I've not seen any of them that have convinced me on how he is going to address our problems in Nigeria. They keep on referring to what they have done before. They have not come out clearly that this government of 1983, this is how they address agriculture, this is how the government of 1993 does it, and this is how I want to do my own. Or rather, this is how this government work on education, this is how this government work on education, and this is the gap, and this is how I will do my own. I'm a farmer, I'm an educationist, and also, you look at what Peter Obi, they keep saying Peter Obi, and we deceive ourselves that he has a structure. Buhari did it 3 times. Today, the way they are campaigning, using religion and tribe, the Hausas are watching them. The entire 29th state of Hausa, we are watching them. Do you think we can just go and cast vote for them? That's my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So Maazi, you take the questions, and then we get to the last 3 people. Go ahead. Oh, you have to. Let me unmute you. Hold on, okay. All right, go ahead.
Sorry, let me take these questions. My good brother Ovie said I should give him the roadmap. If I give you the roadmap now, that means the election is finished. You go and upturn the roadmap. So, boy, it's not going to happen. Now, but you talk about him being a humbled man, like Shagari, like Goodluck Jonathan, and like Buhari. None of the people you mentioned was a wealth creator. None of them. There is something you know that somebody just is there. We know of a president who had 150 cows year in, year out. It doesn't increase, it doesn't decrease. Maybe they wear condoms. We don't know. But that's on a different plank. You know, my brother says, how are they going to do these things? Listen, there are consultations going up north. Bridges are being built. I think let's not make this mistake. Peter Obi's presidency is a Nigerian president. If one person, an Igbo person, one person says something that you do not like, please, for Christ's sake, you cannot use that to judge everyone. I am one person that in my platform that I advocate, let us not put religious and ethnic connotations, for instance, to crime. When someone with cow commits crime, deal with that person as a criminal, not labeling a whole ethnic nationality as criminals. Come down to politics. If you do not want to vote Peter Obi, of course, you must not vote for him, but allow him to make and go and campaign because he is making inroads. In the next couple of days, you will see that a vice president would emerge. The vice president that will suit the bill, a vice president that Nigerians will know that this is the new direction. You talked about how is he going to do all these things. My brother, how would you know what I will do if I do not show you? When you go for a job interview, they ask you, what's your experience? What have you done? If a man is telling you, I'm going to change education, you'll be looking at him like this, what can he do? But when he tells you, when I was a governor, my state was number 27. And these are my plans. Within a space of 5 years, I moved my state from number 27 to number 1. This is verifiable. It means if you give him the opportunity, now task him, what can Nigeria, task him in African ranking. How can Nigeria be? If before the highest rank, what is the ranking of those that take NECO and WAEC? What can he do to ensure that education is improved, to ensure that our security is improved? A man has gone to Egypt, telling you that, well, I have seen something these people are doing. How can it be that in a space of 5 years, and we have a government that is 6 years? The former government left us with 8,000 megawatts. Now we struggle with 1,500 to 2,450. And it's telling you, we are doing abysmally low. If we do this in 4 years, minimum we could generate is 30,000. Give him the opportunity to fail. But he cannot fail because he has done it in private sector. You know how I respect people. If you ever managed people of diverse culture, especially, people of lighter skin, and you are with this skin, you manage them, you make profit, they all scrutiny, and you are still able to really achieve something. I believe if given the opportunity, yes, you can. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Let's continue. Obi, welcome to the show. And any question or comment for Maazi? Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I have a few things. Some of them has been touched, but I will just reroute. First of all, Maazi Ezeoke, it's my pleasure to be on this platform with you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your work. I've been following you like crazy. Fantastic job you're doing. Well done. This is what I want. This is what I want to say. So if Peter Obi is Igbo president, so it means that Bola Tinubu is your.
Sorry. He's not Igbo president. Please
hold on. I'm actually on your side. Just hold on. If Peter Obi is Igbo president, so Bola Tinubu is Yoruba president. Atiku is Fulani president. Buhari is Fulani president. Yes or no? Obi is a Igbo man and he's a Nigerian. I don't know why this Igbo presidency tag is being bandied about. Just ignore and just move on. That's my comment. And other things I want to ask, Maazi, are you able, I know you've talked about discussions going on and you may not be able to answer this, but I'll still ask. Can you give us an hint as to the direction the merger is going? Is it going to be positive or negative? What are the likely outcome scenario? The other thing is misinformation. Are there portals being built or already built online where people can go to read about, you gave some very succinct explanation about the Peter Obi misinformation on his governorship, money left behind and all that. You seem to have very good, clear information about that. If you can, from the back end, work on a portal where we can read up this and read the facts, it will be good for the youth. The other thing the last thing I will ask is, let's say, for example, we wake up tomorrow and Peter Obi is the president, May 29, 2023. And the following week, he announces his minister, and we see Maazi Ezeoke as the Minister of Information. Are you going to refuse? Thank you.
Very good question. I like that. Okay, so let's continue. Paul, welcome to the show. What's your question for Maazi Ezeoke?
Yeah, good morning. Yeah. My first question, I know Peter Obi, for the most part, he lives in the UK, and living in the West, we all understand how the West work. So I know Peter Obi keep telling us to fact check. I've tried to fact check his tax return while living in the UK. I can't see any. If you can help me with that, that would be good. That is one.
That is why I'm asking for the portal. Thank you, Paul.
Then two, I like the Peter Obi drive, but I still want to beg people so much. The Peter Obi drive, some people are taking it to the Jagaban level. They become a heavy bully. You just can't say anything. Only this question that I ask, people hate me for it. People just hate me. I want to ask you guys to take it easy a little bit. And the narrative, why I'm saying this, the narrative is that when you say things like that, it often comes more with people from the East. Every tribe now like the Peter Obi, but from the East, they take it personal, like I am cursing their brother. We have this parable in my place. They said, every man see their mother's nakedness. But we pretend we didn't see it. But when we see other people's nakedness, we say something. But we have to be careful the way we go about it. The bully is too much. You can't just say it. It is politics. We have the right to ask questions. They question Tinubu every day. So if I also ask about Obi, I think I want to make it easy for him, because Obi is making it easy for all of us. He jumped from one media house to another media house, from print media to electronic media, which is good. So we can sell him. But at the same time, we can always ask critical questions. I've not seen that tax return, and I would love to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Tony, you're next.
Guten Tag, Maazi Ezeoke. Ich grüße Sie aus Deutschland. My brother, thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this conversation. Like what Paul said, the problem is not about people studying about PeterObi. Or PeterObi is one of the most scrutinized person in this election at the moment. He's always on every news channel. You understand me? I hope that other people will also be open the way he is open, because everybody he is always open people asking questions. People everybody know everything about PeterObi, but like other people like Tinubu or Atiku Abubakar, most of them it is difficult for you to know even nothing about them. What business do they do? How do they get their money? What is the source of their income? Nobody knows about them. But sometimes we also welcome open conversation, open discussion. But sometimes there is what they call tactic question. People in journalists use. They ask some kind of funny questions to make Obi look bad. That's what we, like people that support Obi, we know when people ask genuine question. When you ask a genuine question, of course we answer. I believe PeterObi is even ready to answer all these questions. But most times, people ask some kind of dirty question in politics. They try to make it look like maybe they want to know about Obi. You are asking about Obi's tax reform. What about Tinubu? How did he make his money? I don't see any people asking all those questions to them. But Obi is always there telling you how the school he went to, how when he graduated, every school he attended, everybody, this is a very easy for you to, it's accessible to everybody. And my last question to you, please, is this. When are we going to make, maybe, I know you're not a Labour Party, you're not in Labour Party. When are you people going to make open like a donation? People can donate, because we have also an association here in Germany where we want to donate, but we want to donate in the right place. I don't know, in the right, we don't want to waste, nobody want to waste the money because there's a lot of fraud now to donate in a place that the money will not be able to go to be.
Tony, thank you. Before I get to you, Jude, I want to let some people out. We have a few minutes left so that we can probably get new people to ask questions. So if your questions have been answered, please, you can just give room so that we can let 2 more people in. Jude, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, depending wherever you are. Thank you all for this opportunity once again. And Maazi Ezeoke, thank you so much. I've always watched you, but now I'm meeting you face to face on this platform. It's quite a reflection. Okay, my question is more of a comment. Question. First of all, say this Obinization called Obi Phenomenon, different names. Mine, I call it Obinization. I want to apologize in front on behalf of his followers, that why it look as though they seem to be bullying is that that's part of that Obi represents the yearnings of an average Nigerians and the downtrodden over the years that no leader in Nigeria has ever brought to them. No leader in Nigeria have such a humane mind that can relate with them at their level. Okay, he represents, is an embodiment of humility. A man that has so much billions, yet he can fly the economy to know how the common man feels economy whenever he's traveling. Okay, this is why so many people are gravitating to him. Not only the youth, even the adults now are gravitating to him. Even many organizations, including churches, are all gravitating to him. Because for the first time in Nigeria, in my lifetime at least, I'm 56 years old today now, I have never seen any Nigerian, okay, that prefers such
Jude, can you round up? We want to,
look, I mean, he's been going around, campaigning and doing some interview, but you have never seen him bully people like we recently see Ashiwaju go on a campaign trail. Look at how everybody was bullied, so many convoy and everything. So why wouldn't people gravitate to him? For the first time, I appeal to Nigerians, please, let us all push to what is good. Let us accept this man and allow him to see if he can at least get us out into the ditch. Nigeria is in a ditch.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Thank you. We have to stop you there. Maazi Okafor, just the last one, the last person, and then Maazi is okay. You can answer the questions. Maazi Okafor, just your question, 30 seconds, please. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you very much for allowing me, audience. I also want to appreciate Maazi. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Maazi Okafor. You have your 2 systems on. That's what we can do.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. I'm sorry, Maazi, it's okay. You have to answer. We don't have time now. You go ahead. Hold on.
No, it's fine.
Okay, good. I see what's going on. Go ahead.
Yeah, mute me. Okay, that's fine. Quickly, let me take the questions. On the case of merger, yes, the merger conversation is happening, but I cannot say anything beyond that because I'm not privy to certain information. But on his candidacy, in terms of his vice, many of us are yearning that he must be a young Nigerian from the northern part of Nigeria, someone with some international exposure to complement him, because the world is going far and we must move, because they've left us behind actually, but not in the voice of Asari Dokubo. It's someone with international experience. And the question, if I would accept a ministerial post, I laugh in French. And I say, and I'll answer this way. In my local language, there is this woman who hasn't bought a, they were talking about buying a puppy. And the children are already saying, if you buy the puppy, I'm going to carry the puppy. And the mommy started smacking them. Why would you carry the puppy? And the child died. Yet the puppy is not yet bought. I'll leave it at that. On fact check on his tax, you talked about taxes. I'm like, if you have had the time to fact check his taxes, he pays his taxes. He runs international and global businesses. He pays his taxes in Nigeria. Those ones have, you can see when he goes to Anambra to pay his taxes, the amount he pays is there. Now, I do not know the amount of tax he pays in the United Kingdom, but I will tell you this. When he was invited by the Prime Minister of Great Britain last month, a trip which I was privileged to accompany him to number 10 Downing Street, the core issue why he was invited is because of he is a businessman. And in the United Kingdom, you cannot be classified as a businessman if you don't pay taxes. Your tax defines, that you are recognized. Therefore, if you want, the HRMC or whatever is there, people can write and find out how much does he pay. Again, these are, even your tax is not put on the public domain. But if there is anything, someone digs, they can find how much you pay. On the issue of bullying by supporters, Obi himself, please, I ask you, have you seen him bully someone? This is a man that many people got angry that he addressed as Atiku, as my leader. That is humility personified. Cut him some slack. There is no way, if you have 20 million people supporting you, there is no way you can control all of them. Some of them might be too emotional. I have had people who call me on the telephone and they started crying. Maazi, what can we do? I want to. But I'm like, why are they so emotional? Right? But this is, I beg us, can we step down this constant, that they are abusing people? Have I abused you here? I'm speaking. I'm not his spokesperson, but I'm speaking as someone who has met him. If I tell you that in my years of meeting him, that I haven't learned one or two things that has humbled me, I must be lying. But again, please, let's leave it at that. Then the last one is how to donate. Please, there are a campaign hasn't started, but there are campaign bodies, or rather support groups that have been out there. One of them is PeterObi Support Network. If you go to PeterObiSupportNetwork.com, they have ways of donating. You can, if you're in Europe, you can donate. There is a gateway with Flutterwave. You can do that donation. You can do donation by Naira. What are they using their money for? This structure that people talk about, they have 36 state coordinators, they have 6 regional coordinators, they have local government coordinators, and they have world level coordinators. These are people, they buy them data. When you buy data for people for 36 states, for 775 local government, you know what that means. These are, some people call them like the Ama Jehovah, knocking on doors, going, telling people about him. Things are happening. So the structure that people talk about, 2023, they will see those structures.
All right. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're out of time. It's 90 minutes. We're over by 3 minutes. I know some people wanted to ask more questions, and they're in the studio. Maazi Okafor, I'm sorry, I tried to let you in, but there was a lot of noise where you are. We have to round it up. Chido, go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Maazi Ezeoke. It's been scintillating 90 plus minutes. Thank you for honoring our invitation. We hope to do this again. We have about 8 months of the political process ahead of us. Thank you, Abi, Mohammed, Tony, where's our regular Ovie, and so on. All those watching at home and those in the studio, appreciate all of you. Do follow us on our social media platforms. 90 Minutes Africa and Dr. Damages on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We look forward to continuing the conversation next week. See you all next week, and bye for now.
All right.
Thanks, Mr. Onumah. Thank you.
guys.